Welcome back, you magnificent and indestructible forces of chaos. Yes, you. Those who remained quiet for far too long. The ones who bit their tongues, swallowed their remarks, and played nice while others picked away at you piece by piece. But you've had enough. Did you eventually speak up? Just one phrase, one flawlessly designed razor-sharp retort that slashed through their phony grins and broke their sense of power. And suddenly everything is ablaze. Not just them, but the whole delicate edifice they constructed to keep you under them. The alliances, group conversations, and whispered conspiracies are all tumbling like a house of cards in a storm. They believe they were united against you. I thought you were the adversary who kept their little alliance together. But when you spoke and hit back with that one perfect sentence, you were not just defending yourself. You unleashed something unstoppable. Let's go out what occurred here, since it's more than just words. It is about waking. This is the moment a sleeping behemoth opened its eyes and declared, "Enough." 4 months, if not years, you watched as they gossiped, manipulated, gaslit, and banded together against you like cowards hiding behind numbers. They assumed that safety came in groupings, that savagery gave them power. They misinterpreted your stillness for vulnerability and your patience for fear. But you were not weak. You were studying. You were observing. You were mapping. Every falsehood and every contradiction. Every fragile ego disguised as assurance. You saw the fractures in their armor long before they did. You knew just which phrases would break them open. So when they pushed you too far, you hit back. Not loud or passionate, just the surgical reality. And the moment those words left your lips, everything changed. The air has altered. The room became cooler. You could see it in their eyes. The spark of terror, the awareness that perhaps, just maybe, they had chosen the wrong person to underestimate. Because your counterattack did not just strike one of them. It struck all of them. It exposed the deception that bound them together, revealing the flaws they all shared behind their phony togetherness. This is where it becomes gorgeous. Your one phrase set off a chain reaction that tore their whole system apart. Groups like theirs are not founded on loyalty or affection. They are based on shared goals. They wanted you to be the antagonist so they could play the heroes in their own deluded tale. They wanted you to be weak so that they could feel powerful. They needed you. Silence. So their falsehoods might go unquestioned. However, you deviated from the expected pattern. You spoke. You defended yourself with a truth so sharp and unmistakable that it forced them to see each other differently. Suddenly, the person next to them wasn't an ally. They represented a possible menace. Because if you can see through the veneer, perhaps others can as well. And if one lie could be uncovered, the others were going to shatter. Paranoia started to spread like poison gas. Invisible but lethal. Within minutes, the fissures began to emerge. Someone attempted to make a light-hearted quip to alleviate the tension, but it came out incorrectly. Another rushed to defend themselves before being accused of anything. Then someone else brought out previous grudges and betrayals that they had buried for the sake of togetherness. Your one retort did more than simply protect you. It was a mirror, making them all realize what they had become. Suddenly, the whispers went inwards. "Did you hear what was said about you last week? Wait, did you tell them that? I thought we had agreed not to bring it up. Why are you staring at me that way?" The blades they had honed for your back were now pointing at each other. The group chat, which had before hummed with coordinated assaults on you, remained quiet before exploding with accusations, excuses, and frantic efforts to recover control. And you didn't have to move another finger. You did not need to argue, justify, or explain. The single phrase you uttered was the match. And the whole foundation was saturated in gasoline. Their union had always been based on lies, deception, and mutual brutality. And the instant truth entered the equation, the structure crumbled under its own decay. Now they're ripping each other apart, attempting to defend themselves and betray one another in order to live. It is a civil war, and you are no longer on the battlefield. Let's have a look at what you really triggered. Here is where things become interesting. These individuals, your erstwhile tormentors, were united by a single principle: strength in numbers, safety, and consensus. As long as everyone agreed you were the issue, they did not have to confront their own inadequacies. Labeling you as the villain allowed them to overlook the monsters they were becoming. But then, with a well-timed statement, You broke the illusion. You did not yell. You did not beg. You did not attempt to show your value. You said the truth. It was so apparent and indisputable that it could not be ignored. Perhaps you called out their hypocrisy. Perhaps you quietly exposed their alleged leader's manipulation. Perhaps you could identify the harmful trend that they had all been trying not to see. Whatever it was, it worked because it was true and authentic. The truth is the most devastating weapon you can use against those who base their authority on falsehoods. They can't cover it up with additional lies since everyone is now observing. They can't ignore it because your comments keep repeating in their brains, compelling them to face what they've been rejecting. They can't unify against you longer because your reality exposes the flaws that have always lurked behind their phony unity. The organization is now splintering. Those who have always felt uncomfortable about the harshness are taking a step back, gaining consciences and recognizing their own limits. The ambitious individuals who are discreetly seeking for authority are now using your disclosure as leverage to take power. And many who just wanted to join are panicked, wondering which side to choose. I'm not sure whether sides exist anymore. Meanwhile, the ringleader, the genius who persuaded everyone that harming you was appropriate, is unraveling. Their authority was never genuine. It all relied on keeping everyone else under their spell. But now that you've broken it and people are thinking for themselves again, their authority is crumbling in front of everyone's eyes. They are now sliding out of control in a maelstrom they manufactured. Every move they make, every effort to twist the story reveals more about their desperation. You can see how they attempt to shift responsibility with shaky voices and fake laughs, hoping no one realizes how afraid they are. But it is too late. The mask is shattered beyond repair. Every defense they provide rings hollow. Every falsehood they speak echoes louder in the quiet they have created. They are racing to alter the tale. But the truth has already spread like wildfire, and no amount of denial can stop it. Here's the most lyrical portion. They did it to themselves. Every nasty joke muttered behind your back, every falsehood fabricated to undermine you, every phony smile and apology. All of this laid the groundwork for their own doom. Every time they attempted to make you the villain, they only stacked kindling higher and higher, waiting for a spark. And when you eventually delivered that one phrase, crisp, accurate, and irrefutable, the spark struck. You did not accuse them. You did not cause fresh pandemonium. You just held up a mirror and said, "Look at what you've become." For the first time they took a peek. Perhaps not all at once. Perhaps some people turned away at first, reluctant to confront it. But your words had already taken hold. They couldn't unhear them. You forced a rare moment of truth, one that they couldn't laugh off or turn into another joke. And in that delicate quiet they saw themselves naked, unflattering, on heroism. They were not victims. They were not saviors. They were manipulators, opportunists, and cowards. They recognized the ugliness they projected upon you all along. What happens when individuals who have formed their identity on superiority face their own reflection? They get into a panic. They point fingers. She initiated it. He went things too far. I was never really engaged. I merely went along to maintain the peace. The rewriting of history starts immediately. Each of them is attempting to crawl out of the catastrophe they made by claiming they were never truly involved. It's chaotic in slow motion. Alliances are collapsing, confidence is eroding, and everyone is racing to be seen as the least culpable. Some even start rewriting previous memories to convince themselves that they were always on your side and secretly appreciated your bravery. It is sad. It's funny, and it's exactly what they deserve. And you? You're not enraged. You aren't boasting. You're only watching. Calm. Detached. Revenge no longer provides fulfillment since you have outgrown the desire for it. What you're feeling is not revenge. It's a vindication. Validation. The serene, solid serenity that comes with recognizing you were correct all along. For so long. They caused you to doubt yourself. Made you worry whether you were too sensitive, reactive, or challenging. But now the truth is out in the open and it is obvious. The issue was never with you. It was always them. You didn't need to raise your voice. You did not need to expose them in public. You did not have to manipulate or sink to their level. All you did was tell one truth. And that fact held the weight of every lie they had ever spoken. It demolished them from the inside out because the truth does not need friends. It just has to be spoken once, clearly, and at the appropriate time. The rest takes care of itself. They wreck themselves. You were only the spark, the match that demonstrated how volatile their foundation really was. The irony is that they based their power on control. They believed that their numbers would protect them, and that their collective wickedness would give them strength. But that power was just taken from fear, conformity, and the idea of togetherness. When reality entered the room, the illusion vanished. Without it, they were nothing. Let me now clarify what happens next, since this is where most people get it wrong. They believe that you have triumphed, that you can return and regain your position, and that everything will be quiet again. But this isn't how it works. This is not a redemption arc. This isn't about getting back in the circle. You do not want to go back. You have outgrown the need to be included by those who live on exclusion. You've recognized that accepting harmful individuals will not bring you serenity. It comes from leaving them without remorse. Those attempting to reconnect now, the ones who are suddenly being nice, sending messages, or just checking in, do not be tricked. They aren't doing it because they have changed. They are doing this because they are terrified. Scared of being alone. I'm scared of becoming the next one. Isolated and spoken about. They are afraid that if they leave the group, they would lose their identity. Their apologies do not stem from regret. They are born out of self-preservation. Allow them to squirm in their own quiet. Allow them to experience the seclusion they once enjoyed when it was yours. Because this is the distinction between you and them. You made it through it. You stepped through the flames. You felt the ache of exclusion. Being misunderstood is humiliating. And the loneliness that comes with standing alone. And you still ascended. You came out stronger, cleaner, and more confident. You confronted yourself and did not shrink. But it's them. They can't manage what they've created. They cannot survive without affirmation, an audience, and someone to look down on. Their whole identity is based on hostility. Without a villain, they lose their purpose. They collapse in the absence of a target. Your return didn't merely cause their downfall. It emancipated you. It destroyed the last link between your value and their perspective. When you stopped caring about their praise, you became untouchable. Not invincible, not immune to suffering, but untouchable because their weapons lost their weight. Their chatter cannot reach you. Their judgment cannot define you. Their silence cannot punish you. You've reclaimed every ounce of power they fed on. Now they are the ones being haunted. They're stalking your social media, analyzing every post, and wondering whether your silence is outrage or apathy. They are projecting, stressing, and hoping for any indication that you still care, since it is the only thing that will make them feel important again. They can't go on since their whole identity is based on being against you. And now that you've stepped out of that position, they're aimless, exposed, and empty. So what do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You've mastered the art of absence. You disappear from their emotional radar. You do not gloat. You do not publish cryptic quotations. You make no attempt to acknowledge anything. Your loudest statement right now is silence. You leave people wondering. You let them unwind. Because your apathy is the one thing they cannot overcome. They can combat rumors. They can create storylines, but they cannot tolerate being ignored. And while they spin, you create calmly, thoughtfully, and brilliantly. You channel your energy into something fresh, unrelated to them. You invest in your art, peace, people, and future. You construct your identity based on fact, not reactivity. You aren't restoring your position in their failing universe. You are building your own planet from the ground up. This is your season of intense self-focus. You will no longer explain, justify, or perform. You no longer shrink to accommodate others. You are no longer seeking approval from those who never earned your existence. You are not healed enough to return. You are mending so that you may go ahead. As they suffocate on the empire's smoke, they set fire to themselves. You will be standing in the open air beyond it. Strong, serene, and utterly free while drowning in the maelstrom of their own making, grasping at each other to remain afloat in the rubble of their dissolving social circle. You are doing something altogether different. You've walked out of the storm. You're inhaling fresh air for the first time in what seems like forever. You are learning. You are healing. You are creating. You're connecting with folks who notice you. Not the warped image of you they created to make themselves feel superior, but the authentic you, the one who listens and feels profoundly, who survives, who continues to show up despite everything. You're rediscovering what it's like to be free of their continual judgment. Humming in the background. Your world is growing while theirs is shrinking. You're learning that living without their poison is more than simply quieter. It's more full. You wake up without fear, without the heaviness that used to sink in your chest whenever your phone rang with their latest drama. You are understanding that calm is not dull. It is healing. It's entering into a room without knowing who is covertly working against you. Laughter does not feel like a test. It's interactions that do not devolve into traps. It is freedom. The type of liberation that only comes when you stop asking to sit at tables that were never designed for honesty. Their rejection was not a loss. It was supernatural intervention disguised as harshness. The universe was removing you from a situation that was gradually eroding your confidence. And every day you spend in your own development is another day they fall further into the hole they built. Every hour you spend creating something fresh and genuine is another hour. They squander time attempting to mend the false friendships that they once weaponized. Their alliances were based on rumor and manipulation. And now the foundation has fallen into dust. They're fatigued from the effort of pretending everything is okay when every interaction around them is fraught with mistrust. Meanwhile, you're meeting individuals who don't need you to earn their respect, who don't doubt your value, and who don't exhaust you. You're learning that their brutality wasn't normal, wasn't justified, and wasn't something you had to endure in quiet. That one comeback sentence you provided was the spark that ignited it all. The moment you stopped playing defense and regained your voice. But what happens afterwards? That is where your genuine power resides. Your silence now. Your reluctance to interact and your calm. Disinterested in their disarray. That is the true weapon. You aren't just surviving anymore. You are ascending. Every time you choose peace over participation, you remind them that they no longer have control over your narrative. They expected a reaction, a response, and a continuation of the game. But you didn't give them anything. Purely strategic and devastating. Nothing. And the silence is louder than any argument could be. Because this is what happens whenever manipulators lose control. They get into a panic. They will be back. They'll push your limits. Each one is bolder than the previous. It begins tiny and informal. Remember that one time? Or did you see this and immediately think of yourself? Perhaps a song lyric, a meme, a photograph intended to evoke nostalgia. They'll employ comedy as a disguise. I'm hoping you'll mistake familiarity for sincerity, and if you answer even once, they'll see it as an invitation to rewrite history. They'll downplay what they did, smooth the edges, and say things like we were all going through something, or that I didn't mean it in that manner. Do not fall for it. Remember that individuals don't alter overnight. They do not heal for convenience. They seek out because they are lonely, not because their circumstances have changed. Because the environment they created around cruelty has crumbled. And now they're looking for anything that seems familiar. But you've outgrown the house. You've outgrown the need to belong someplace that forces you to shrink and fit. You're not their safe haven, nostalgic journey, or redemption narrative. You are the result. The live, breathing evidence that they cannot treat people as expendable props and expect the world to continue spinning in their favor. Now we start the long game, which most individuals never complete because it needs patience and perspective. They're now collapsing. Their little coalitions are fraying. The trust is gone. Every chat they have is full with paranoia. Who is speaking the truth? Who is gossiping now? Who's next? It's all noise, accusations, and stress. But soon the turmoil will subside. It always does. The group will break up into smaller, weaker parts. Others will reconcile out of habit. Some may create new cliques, while others will just slip into quiet. When the smoke clears, they will all recall the same thing. They will recall the moment when everything changed. The day you quit being quiet. The day you stared them dead in the eyes and spoke what no one else dared to utter. They will remember your tone. The quiet assurance wounded worse than any insult could. They'll recall how the air moved in the room and how their grins froze. How each of them felt exposed. The memories will haunt them. Not out of fear but due of recognition. Because they saw the truth and it was not flattering. You will become a narrative. They provide a cautionary story. You are a silent legend, not the monster they originally depicted you to be. However, the lesson may be unlearned. A reminder that cruelty always has a cost, that falsehoods have expiry dates, and that underestimating the silent one is the most dangerous error. They'll introduce you to new pals while attempting to seem distant. Yeah, I've known someone like that before. They'll smile, disguising their humiliation. Some will reveal your narrative throughout treatment sessions. Their voices crack as they face the consequences of their actions. Others will lie awake at night repeating the words, the quiet that followed, the way their universe broke open. And they'll be curious about you. They'll skim through your feed, projects, job, and life. They will wonder what you are doing now and who you have become. Whether you still think about them or whether you have ever forgiven them. Deep down, they'll realize you didn't have to. You did not need closure, apologies, or affirmation. You did not have to prove anything. The forgiveness you extended was not for them. It was for you because you moved on while others did not. You've transformed into a version of yourself that no longer bends to fit into other people's stories. You've stopped performing for their approval and begun living for your own reason. You've surrounded yourself with energy that nourishes rather than depletes, and with people who challenge rather than compete with you. Connections that strengthen rather than shatter. You've realized that peace isn't the absence of strife. It represents the existence of borders. And it is something they will never comprehend. They see quiet as loss while in fact it represents power. They mistake distance for bitterness, yet it is really healing. They believe you are ignoring them to hurt them when, in reality, you are too preoccupied with your own life to notice them. They're trapped in the past whilst you're shaping the future. So, while they're still trying to save their fragile egos and restore their tarnished reputations, you're out here creating new chapters. You are creating a life that is not centered on proving your worth to others. You're pursuing interests they never knew you possessed. Achieving something they never believed possible. You are laughing again. Not because everything is wonderful, but because you have finally realized what demands your attention and what does not. That's the last twist they won't see coming. They believed harming you would justify them. However, they provided you with all of the tools you needed to succeed. You've transformed their harshness into insight, their rejection into redirection, and their betrayal into a roadmap for your own growth. This is not simply your comeback tale. This is your Genesis narrative. The minute you stopped trying to survive them, you began being yourself. And while they drown in their own cacophony, you will continue to rise. Stable, silent, and unstoppable. You won't care. Not even a little. Because by the time any of them really appreciate what they've lost, you'll be so far past that whole chapter of your life that it will seem like something that happened to someone else. It will not sting. Will not matter. Most days you will not even think about it. That version of yourself, the one that accepted their games, lifestyles, and manipulation, will seem like a distant memory. You will have progressed so much beyond it. Looking back, it will be like recalling an old movie you once liked but outgrew. You will see it clearly but without emotion or connection, simply an awareness of how far you have come. By then, your life will be radically altered. You'll be surrounded by people who respect you for who you are, not what you can do for them or how well you fit into their fragile hierarchy. You'll have friends who make room for your voice rather than attempt to quiet it, who celebrate your accomplishments without anger, and who don't back down when you establish limits. You'll meet folks who know the real you, the one they attempted to hide behind their gossip and control. These new connections will not be like walking on eggshells. They will feel at home. They'll remind you of what true connection is like. Calm, secure, and mutual. You'll learn that love and friendship were never meant to seem like a war. Your universe will grow in ways you cannot yet comprehend. You'll encounter experiences that nourish your spirit rather than deplete it. Creative activities, new excursions, and peaceful mornings in which calm seems like the norm rather than a luxury. You'll have times when you realize you never needed their approval or validation to be worthwhile, successful, or adequate. Every victory, smile, and new milestone will serve as a reminder that their absence was never the loss they said it was. It was freedom veiled as rejection. You'll be living evidence that the finest retribution isn't revenge at all. It is indifference. It is not proving them incorrect. It's understanding they're not important enough to prove anything to. It is getting up every day unconcerned, unshakable, and disinterested in what they are doing. Its peaceful existence renders them unimportant. You won't need to publish cryptic quotations or brag about your accomplishment to catch their attention. You won't care whether they're watching or not, since your enjoyment will no longer be performance-based. It will be genuine. Your item will be silent, stable, and impenetrable. But right now, as you continue to see their small kingdom disintegrate, allow yourself to feel something genuine. Not vengeance or smug pleasure, but something pure. The peaceful feeling of justice that arises when the truth is ultimately revealed. Allow yourself to experience the profound, grounded relief of being proved correct. Not because they're coming apart, but because reality has finally caught up with what you've always known. You always knew their oneness was phony. You always noticed that their nastiness revealed more about their own weakness than it did about your strength. You've always known that the truth does not need a struggle. It just takes time. And your return did not cause the pandemonium. It merely expedited the process. You did not destroy them. You disclosed them. They believed they could silence you. They believed that if they pushed hard enough, ridiculed loudly enough, and manipulated long enough, they would break it. You would shrink into apology, remorse, or humiliation. They hoped they could persuade you to embrace their interpretation of reality and doubt your own. But you didn't. You did not collapse. You did not beg. You didn't disappear. You spoke quietly, clearly, decisively. And your truth landed harder than anything they could have hurled at you. That one brilliant comeback demolished all they had created. Their control, groupthink, and false sense of power. They never expected someone who refused to follow their rules. However, the true power of your retort was not limited to what it did to them. It was in what it did to everyone else. Let us speak about the folks who were watching. The onlookers. Those who remained silent. Maybe you even glanced away while it was occurring. Some of them rationalized their silence by telling themselves it wasn't their business. Some persuaded themselves that being neutral was safer than taking a position, while others silently and secretly admired you. They witnessed what you were going through, realized how unjust it was, and wished they had your strength. They saw every insult you received and bore every sneer. You disregarded every scenario and you handled them gracefully. They didn't say anything, but they noticed when you eventually delivered that one phrase, that piercing, precise, unbreakable truth that did more than simply shatter your tormentors. It shattered the illusion for everyone watching. It altered the vibe in the room. It granted others a strong authorization. Permission to challenge the system. They had been complicit. Permission to distance yourself from the poison without feeling guilty. Permission to cease laughing at unfunny things. Permission to quit defending those who did not deserve it. Your heroism set an example for others. Proof that it is possible to get up, move away, and live without losing oneself. You didn't want to be a symbol, but you became one. Not by preaching or calling anybody out, but rather by refusing to be quiet any longer. You exemplified strength without even realizing it. You demonstrated that genuine power does not come from control. It stems from clarity. You became the person others secretly looked up to, wondering whether they could accomplish it. Maybe I can too. And the ripple effect, the invisible change of viewpoint, is more potent than the direct consequences. Because while they are busy attempting to mend their fraying connections, you have already altered the narrative for those around them. You've put a seed in each observer's mind. The notion that standing up to brutality is not hazardous. It is vital to recognize that quiet does not maintain peace. It merely shields the bullies. You've given others the strength to choose themselves over fear, something your tormentors can never reverse. People are now watching you rather than the drama. They're paying attention to how you handled it, how you didn't lower yourself to their level, how you didn't become bitter or petty, and how you went away without having to show your value. They see that your strength stemmed from moderation, not revenge. They notice that you did not just win the debate. You surpassed it. And here is the portion they will remember the most. Your bit. You didn't seek closure, didn't demand apologies, and chose quiet over spectacle. That calm confidence will reverberate more than their gossip ever did. Long after the pandemonium subsided, they'll remember you not as a villain, but as the person who refused to play their game. that memories will come back to haunt them over time. Not because you injured them, but because you exposed them. They'll recall the expression in your eyes as you uttered what needed to be spoken. They will recall the profound, palpable hush that followed. They'll recall how the truth changed the atmosphere in the room and in their quieter times. It's when there's nobody left to perform for. They'll wonder where you are, what you're doing, and whether you ever think about them. But you will not. You will live. You'll laugh. Create something genuine. You'll be too busy being the person you were born to be. Because it is the actual conclusion. Not vengeance or approval, but freedom. The sort that does not need witnesses since it is fully inside you. You didn't just endure them. They were the catalyst for your transformation. You converted anguish into fuel. Silence transforms into strength and loss becomes liberty. You were everything they told you couldn't be. Not to prove them incorrect, but because you had stopped thinking they were ever correct. More than anything else, your return will leave a legacy. Not devastation or turmoil, but rebirth. They're watching intently now, waiting to see whether you'll keep your cool or lose control, if you'll gloat or move on, if you'll let this moment define you or use it as a springboard. Every day you choose dignity over drama, progress over vengeance, and peace over turmoil. You are teaching them something they have never understood. Real strength is not unkind. Its limits. It is self-respect. It walks away without looking back. So, when you're inclined to justify yourself, protect your reputation, or rub their noses in their own messes, realize that you're no longer acting for yourself. You are displaying everyone who has ever felt tiny, silenced, or imprisoned by destructive group dynamics. That there is another way. You're demonstrating that one person's truth can devastate 100 people's lives. You demonstrate that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stand tall and quiet and live completely in your own strength rather than fighting. Your return phrase was the spark that ignited the fuse. However, your progress, your calm refusal to be drawn back into their insanity, is the fire that burns long after the explosion. That's what really worries them. Not your words, but your progress. You've evolved into someone who no longer relies on them. Someone who succeeds without their permission. Someone who demonstrated their authority over you was merely an illusion. And once you see through the facade and realize the emperor is naked, you can never go back. That is the actual gift. Your return rewarded you. Clarity. The capability to see them. Just like they are. Eliminated intimidation, deception, and fake authority. They are not powerful. They are just insecure, selfish, desperate individuals who found fleeting strength and harshness in numbers. Nothing exceptional, nothing dangerous, and nothing is worth losing your tranquility for. Again, that is all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the deepening of my faith. Please let me believe you even when there is no tangible proof. Let me believe in your eternal presence, knowing that you will never hurt me. I realize that your intentions for me are ones of success rather than harm, in order to provide me with a bright future. Thank you, kind and everlasting Father, for always hearing my voice. I give this prayer to you in Jesus' name.